All right, hello, and welcome to episode 5 of season 2 of the Path Podcast. I am Jason.
Hey, I'm Derrick.
And we are very excited to have the opportunity to talk with you today. Now, want to remind you that early on in the season, if you'll remember back to our introductory episode of this season, we said we wanted to have fun this time around. Not that we didn't have fun before, but we wanted to specifically and deliberately have fun this time around. And so today is going to be one of those really fun episodes, and I think that I think we could get sort of a spiritual application out of this right at the beginning.
Yeah.
That God wants us to enjoy this life, and it's good to laugh and have fun and do that from time to time. Not always be these super stodgy intellectuals at all times. And so today is going to be, you'll get a little glimpse into what Derrick and I like to laugh about, I think, to some extent.
Yeah.
So today we have a top 5 episode for you. And what we want to share with you are our top 5 favorite Disney Plus shows. Okay. Now, if you don't have Disney Plus, what's wrong with you, first off?
Man.
I'm joking. But if you don't have Disney Plus, I apologize. I'm sure you could borrow somebody's login and watch it.
We do not endorse borrowing logins.
We don't endorse that. Also, Disney Plus is not a sponsor for this podcast. We just really love it. We are Disney fanatics. I think you guys know that about us.
So remember when we said that first episode, like if someone like chimed in and guessed what like our top 5s were? Yeah. That we would give them a gift card.
I do recall, yes.
Yep. Lisa, I almost said Lisa Jackson. I don't even know her as Lisa Jackson. Lisa Heyer.
Lisa Heyer.
She was Lisa Jackson at one point.
Yeah.
So anyway, Lisa Heyer was the only one to chime in, and she guessed Disney and Star Wars.
Well, there you go.
I think she gets a gift card, right?
I think so. Congratulations,
so,
Lisa.
Lisa Heyer.
Yeah.
You get a gift card to something. I don't know yet. I'll get it for you.
That'll be fun. We'll have our people call your people. So, that's fun. But yeah, so just want to kind of lay the ground rules before we dive in here. So we each picked our top 5 favorite shows completely apart from each other. So I have no idea what Derrick's are. Derrick has no idea what mine are.
We did not converse ahead of time.
We have not conferred at all. And then the only sort of criteria that we said was that it had to be a show, as in it had episodes and not just a movie.
Right.
Because there are a lot of really great movies on there, but that's not what this top 5 is about. So, what the way we're going to do is we're going to go back and forth. Like Derrick will give one, I'll give one, kind of back and forth that way, and we'll talk about these shows and just have a little fun today.
Yeah,
see where it goes.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I am too. So, I'm going to keep my answers hidden over.
Yes, I've got mine here too.
All right, sir. Well, you being the pastor and leader of this church,
I was going to say you should go first.
Well, I mean, we could fight for it right here.
Yeah, rock, paper, scissors.
All right, best 2 out of 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you got me. Oh, you got me again. You won.
All right. So you get to go first.
No, that means you get to go first.
All right. Okay, so we're going to start at number 5. We'll count these down. My number 5, I said a show called Prop Culture.
Okay.
Prop Culture is a show where the host... he travels around the world, really, to find original props and costumes from Disney movies. So, like some of the movies that he does is he goes and finds the original costumes from Mary Poppins. He finds some of the stuff from Tron. What else I've written down here? He wrote from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So like he goes and finds like the actual like machine that shoots that out, and some stuff from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and in several of the cases he goes and to the actors that were in these movies and like reunites them with these props that they use, and it's really fascinating. I love history and backstory and things, and so it was just really cool. One of my favorite movies when I was a kid was the movie Tron, and it's one of those sort of, I feel like, kind of a lesser known Disney movie. But just, it's about a guy who's a computer programmer, and he gets sucked into a video game, and then he has to fight his way back out. Really campy early '80s stuff, but it was just a great show. And getting to see how those set designers and costume directors created the look of all these things that are in that video game world was really interesting to me. And it was cool. One episode they do find props and costumes from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and they have the kids who play the Pevensey kids come back on, and they see their costumes and to see the emotion that it brings up in them, and how it was a really interesting show. And so I would recommend Prop Culture. That's my number 5.
Yeah. I love that show, man.
Yeah.
I think you and I are a lot alike in this way, in a lot of ways, but in this particular way, like I love before like digital videos, I would always buy the Blu-ray with the
all the
features.
extra
special features.
Yeah.
And my family doesn't like it, so but I mean I don't mind how I do it on my own. So after they're in bed, I watch all the special features on the movies where it tells this is how we did this or whatever. So I love Prop Culture.
Yeah.
Especially on some of those movies that didn't have that, right? Because most of them are older movies. And so it's cool, yeah. So I actually did cry in several episodes. Which is crazy because, so not only, in Mary Poppins, they find the little girl, right, who played Jane.
Right.
And the guy brings her the outfit she wore.
Yeah.
And she, it was just...
over 50 years ago that she wore this.
Yeah. And so, crazy. She had an emotional response. And so... As did I. So, I love that show, man. That's a cool show.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
No, I hope they do a season 2.
I agree. Yeah.
They could do a bunch of other shows on that.
Yeah.
So
part of what's cool too is that you get to see the Disney archives in that show, and just to see the museum of stuff that they have from all the movies that they've made over the decades. That it's really cool just to see all those pieces of history. So.
Yeah, I would love to go to the Disney archives.
I know, right?
That would be cool.
California, let's go.
All right, my number 5
drum roll.
is different. So
here we go. Okay.
My number 5 is Star Wars Rebels.
Okay.
And when that show was on, I really liked it. I'd seen a couple episodes, but we didn't have cable, so we couldn't get the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
So I'd only seen one here or there. And so that was one of the first things I watched on Disney Plus because I was so excited about it.
Yeah.
So I watched that pretty much all the way through as soon as I got it. So, and I really, really liked that show. It's just fun. It tells stories that wind into the greater story of the Star Wars saga, but they're lesser known characters, newer characters. I mean, you see how Darth Vader comes in at times, Darth Maul, Princess Leia, Chewie. I mean, you see these characters come in at different times into the show, but it tells a whole totally different arc of what's going on kind of in the background or whatever. And I really like that. I've grown to really like some of the characters that are in that show, Sabine and I can never think of his name.
Ezra,
thank you. Yeah, I was like, it's a Bible name. It's not Isaiah. It's Ezra. So Ezra. So I really like that show. That's my number 5.
Yeah, dude, I love Star Wars Rebels. Now, there is a certain staff member at this church who will remain unnamed that made fun of us for a long time for watching an animated Star Wars series.
Cartoon. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, he's now hooked on that show.
Oh yeah, he just watched all of them himself.
Yeah. And so, but Star Wars Rebels is a really cool show. It takes place in between episodes 3 and 4.
Right.
So in between the episode when Anakin becomes Darth Vader and the original Star Wars movie. It's taking place in that time period. And it's really cool. One of the things that I love about Star Wars and Marvel is that the universe building.
Yes.
It's so cool to see all these interconnected pieces, and I think Rebels does a great job.
The continuity. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, is that all you have to say about your number 5? All right. So number 4, counting down. My number 4 is The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Okay.
The World According to Jeff Goldblum. First off, I'm a big Jeff Goldblum fan. I just am. I think he's a great actor. But this show, it's like a documentary show, and he, again, travels the world and just tries to learn more about certain subjects. So there's an episode devoted to sneakers. He asked the question at the beginning, why do people love sneakers? Or there's an episode about ice cream, barbecue, bicycles, coffee, denim. Like he does this. There's an episode about denim where he follows these people, or this guy who goes out into the desert Southwest in the United States and climbs down into old mine shafts to try to find vintage denim of like that miners wore like in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's fascinating stuff, and it has that Jeff Goldblum spin, which is just, it's very charming to me, and I like Jeff Goldblum, and I love to learn, and so just learning the history behind sneakers and where how was ice cream invented, or why do people love bicycles so much, like that kind of stuff is just fascinating to me. So it was a great show.
Cool. I have not watched that show yet.
Oh, it's good, man.
I need to watch it. Yeah,
there's like 13 episodes in the first season, so
yeah,
really good show.
I'll have to check it out. It does sound very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, number 3.
No, number 4.
No, number 4. Sorry.
Yeah,
my number 4 is prop culture. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I love that show. I didn't want to give you that a minute ago, but prop culture is my number 4.
Okay.
So, yeah, I really love that show.
Yeah, it is a great show. I would highly recommend it. Oh, well, let's be honest. All of these are highly recommended.
Yes, they're in our top 5. So.
They're all in the top 5. Yeah, but prop culture is a really cool show.
It's a cool show, man. I really like that show.
Yep. All right. Number 3.
Number 3.
My number 3 is The Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom. Okay. So The Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom is a behind-the-scenes show of all the things that happen at the Animal Kingdom at Disney, at Walt Disney World. And it's really fascinating because you have to think about the fact that Animal Kingdom, while it is a theme park, it's also a gigantic zoo at the same time. And so it's really cool just learning how they built the habitats for those, because if you've never been to Animal Kingdom, they're one of the rides you can go in there is a safari, and it looks like you're just driving through the middle of the African savannah,
feels like it, yeah.
And there's animals just walking all over the place. Like there's lots of times where the vehicles have to stop and wait on a rhinoceros to cross the road, kind of thing. But just learning about how they train these animals, how they take care of them, like the first episode, they're talking about the giraffes and how they spent 8 months training this giraffe to come put its foot up on this little platform so they could trim its toenails. Like it's fascinating to learn how they train animals.
Yeah.
And I'd highly recommend it. It's really entertaining.
That's cool, man. That is on our to-watch list.
Yeah.
So I would have already watched it, but Allison wants to watch it, and we want the kids to watch it.
Oh, the kids will love it, man, because it's all about the animals. Yeah.
So we have not watched that one yet, but that is on our list because that's a Nat Geo. Yeah. Because Disney owns Nat Geo now, and it's part of Disney Plus. Yeah. So that is cool. I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool show. You guys will like it.
Yeah. So. All right.
Number 3.
My number 3, and I don't know, this might mess things up a little bit. I don't know.
That's okay.
But I really like the Gallery show.
Okay.
For the show Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And it's, again, that behind-the-scenes look at how they created everything. Yeah. It's really like special features, but they made it a show.
Yeah.
For the show The Mandalorian, which I know we're going to talk about again, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But I'm just fascinated with seeing behind the scenes. I love that. I love it.
Yeah, my favorite thing from that show, because I watched that as well, was when they talk about the room that they built to create all these scenes. So obviously, just to give a little tidbit, Mandalorian takes place on different worlds, obviously. Yeah. And they, believe it or not, they did not film those on location on different worlds. And so,
or even in different
parts of this world.
Of the world. Yeah. It was in one room.
It was in a room that they created, and it's 360 degrees of super high definition video screens. Yeah. That they can put absolutely anything they want to on.
And it goes with you as it moves. Like,
yeah.
Oh man,
it was fascinating,
bonkers,
dude. Yeah,
dude.
That they can film this scene, and it like they're filming this guy in a room, and it looks like you're on another planet.
It looks like he's outside, dude.
So crazy.
I mean, it's unreal.
It was fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah.
I just love the pullback. For any kind of thing. I like to see kind of what went into it all.
Yeah. But one of the things that was also really cool about that is that they had each episode had a different director.
Right.
And so I loved getting to hear just how they all collaborated to tell one story,
right.
but how they each have their different individual take on it. It was just that was really interesting to see all that.
I also liked it because it gave a peek into Jon Favreau, who's the director, producer, right? And then also Dave Filoni, who's one of the directors, but producer as well, and who also did Clone Wars and Rebels. Yeah. And so it just kind of get a glimpse into like their process and their thought process of how they've created these additional worlds inside the Star Wars universe.
Right.
You know, and so I liked that. That was cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. Very, very cool show. All right. My number 2. I said for my number 2 is a show called The Engineering Story. I'm sorry, The Imagineering Story, and it's a documentary that talks about the history of the Imagineer program at Walt Disney. In the Imagineer program, they're basically the brains behind anything cool that you see at Disney World. Basically is who the Imagineers are. And it was just fascinating to see from how Walt Disney had originally created this program, and then it comes it starts in the 40s and 50s, and then you just follow the history all the way up till today.
Yeah.
And just how there were moments where the Imagineers thought that they were going to be canned and just that all that would go away. And then there were moments where things have just flourished, and how they've helped to shape the way that the Disney parks look around the world, how the rides work, how movies and stuff that have happened, and how they create props and all kinds of things. And it was fascinating. Again, I feel like we're having this common theme of like to pull back the veil. Yeah. But you get to see the sort of behind the scenes of how these people who never really get a whole lot of notoriety, but they are the ones who are responsible for all of the cool stuff that you know about Disney, basically. Yeah. So it was a really, really interesting show.
So I love that. I love that show. In fact, this is the first time that we have the same one.
Oh, nice.
So my number two is The Imagineering Story. Now, I struggled between this. Really, it's almost like 1A.
Yeah, I understand.
So, because I struggled not making it number 1 because I think probably our Disney fandom is similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably like, if I have to kind of like, I love it all, but if I have to give like priority to one thing, it's probably Disney Imagineering. Like I would love
right
somehow to have been an Imagineer in another life.
Right.
I'm glad God called me to be a pastor, and I love to be being a pastor, but it's like, if you could do anything else, what would you do? I was like, I might be an Imagineer. So I love that. So that's kind of the priority for me is Disney parks. Like, I want to try to visit all of them if I possibly can in my lifetime.
Right.
Yeah. So I love that. So and watching the show only made me want to go
even more.
To the other country Disneylands even more. So I love that show, man. I love. There was. I would watch these again and again, these documentaries before of like similar kind of things, behind the scenes of Disney parks and how they did it and what
like those Magical World of Disney
specials.
Yes,
absolutely. I've watched every single one of them. So I knew this was in like the works for years, even before I knew there was a such thing as Disney Plus. I knew there was an Imagineering story like they were working on, and so I was so excited about it. That was the first thing I watched. And I love it. I love Walt Disney. I love his vision and just his imagination, man.
It's crazy.
Think about that guy, man. He dreamed up what we have now.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, did he fully even dream that? Because it's gone so far. Yeah, I love that show. It's cool.
Yeah, it was great. All right, so we're down to our number one, but before we do that, we wanted to come up with a couple of honorable mentions.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna let Derrick go first with his three honorable mentions, and then I'll have three honorable mentions, and then we'll talk about our number one.
So my for my honorable mentions, my theme, I had a little theme to it. Okay. It was the shows I enjoy watching with the fam the most.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so we watched a show called The Big Fib.
Yeah.
It's like a game show, and these kids have to come on, and like two experts are sitting at the table, and they have to ask them questions.
Yeah.
And so we watched that. We had a good time watching that as a family with the kids. They enjoy it. And so we watched The Big Fib together. Also with my kids, I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me. We watched Lab Rats.
Okay,
we had never seen that before.
Yeah, our kids love that show.
And so we watched it. We've watched it through 5 times now. So
nice.
Because my kids really got into it.
Yeah.
I only watched it through the one time, but I enjoyed that. And then Allison and I, when the kids go to bed, we'll watch Fairy Tale Weddings.
Okay.
And so Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings. And I have a friend that's actually the officiant in some of those weddings.
Oh, really?
I know from
That's
Orlando, cool. Yeah. So that it's kind of like, there's
I
Glenn. I know Glenn. Yeah. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So my three honorable mentions were it was kind of like a one of the things that's really cool for me with Disney Plus is that they have it's everything going back through the history of Disney. Yeah. And so there was lots of shows when I was little that have this super nostalgic thing going on for me. And so the three that I wrote down were the Gummy Bears.
Okay.
So I just loved that show when I was a kid, and it was fun to watch that. Now, my kids have not gotten as into it.
My kids cannot get into the nostalgic stuff, dude. I try.
I know. And so so I've watched a few episodes just going, oh, man, I loved this show when I was a kid. I remembered it. And the other one that was a big deal for me was DuckTales.
Oh, I love DuckTales.
Loved DuckTales. And if you're not familiar with DuckTales, it's Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Scrooge McDuck and all that stuff. And it was a great show when we were young. And they've since then redone it. And so they now have a new version. I love the new version too. Like they're both great. And so I loved those shows because they had that real nostalgic thing. But then the third one, I've only watched one episode of this yet. There's only a couple episodes out, but there's a new show called The Right Stuff.
Okay.
Which is it's like a historical drama, I guess the best way to put it, but it follows the creation of the Mercury program at NASA.
Oh, cool.
And it's just really, really interesting seeing I don't know how much of it is they're taking liberty, but it's just very fascinating to see these guys who go through the process of not even really knowing what they're getting into. They know that they're doing something cool with outer space, but they could not have even begun to grasp what they were becoming a part of as the really the first astronauts for the United States.
Wow, yeah. But
cool.
I'll have to watch that one.
It's a really cool show. Like I said, I've only watched one episode, but there's a few episodes out, and it's really good.
That's cool. I'll have to watch that one.
Yeah. So those are my honorable mentions. I think I know what your number one is because it's the same as my number one, but drum roll, please.
Yes.
Our number one is The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Mandalorian, just for those of you who don't understand, is one of the greatest things to ever be on television.
Yeah. Do you realize how much people are going to know how nerdy we are now?
If there were any question,
if they didn't know already,
if there were any question, So The Mandalorian it's the first ever Star Wars television show.
Right.
So it's not one of the movies that, there's been 9 episodes and a couple of others in between, which all followed the story of the Skywalker family. Like Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker.
The Skywalker saga.
Yeah, the Skywalker saga, that's right. Well, The Mandalorian takes sort of this sort of ground level approach to what's going on, because if you've seen any of the Star Wars movies, and even if you've not watched them, you guys have heard of Star Wars before, but Star Wars is like this gigantic outer space, like, spaceships the size of cities type thing, like huge stuff. Well, that's, again, going back to that idea of universe building.
Yeah.
there's other characters that are very much ground level. They're not flying in outer space doing stuff like that. And The Mandalorian sort of follows one guy through that story. He is this bounty hunter. You don't even know his name until the last episode of the first season. But he's this bounty hunter that dresses in this really cool armor, and it's taking place after episode 6. So of the original trilogy that came out in the 70s and 80s, after that third movie is when this story is taking place. And so there's sort of unrest across the galaxy, and the Empire has fallen, but there's still people who like the Empire, and there's this new republic and all this stuff. And so there's that, and it really has this real sort of like a Western vibe to it.
It does.
Like because he's like a gunslinger kind of thing. And I'll let you tell sort of the premise of what happens. So that kind of sets the setting.
So ultimately, he is on a bounty hunting mission, right? And he finds the child. This child is he's actually 50 years old, but it's this, they call him the child, and he doesn't know what he's going to do. He's supposed to go basically kill the thing. Yeah. But then it's like this little baby, and everybody calls it Baby Yoda, right? But it's whatever Yoda's species is, which we don't even know. Right. But he's a younger version of that, because Yoda, when we met him in episode 4, for all those of us who, that's the first movie we saw. Right. He was 900 years old, and then of course you get to see him younger, but only 30 years younger. Yeah. So, but yeah, this baby is 50 years old, and is very much a child and baby Yoda, if you will. But so anyway, Mando protects him, and then it's like the whole galaxy is after him. So that's kind of the gist of like every episode after that is telling a little bit what and you can kind of pick up on that a little bit more. But what I love is like how they weave in again that continuity kind of stuff. And then I'm excited about the potential of some of the characters from Rebels and Clone Wars being melded in too, and then
the next season,
and then like their own, next season, which starts this week.
Right. It'll have, the first episode will have just come out. Once this airs.
So I'm super excited about that. But then like those characters from the Rebels, from Clone Wars. And other places, I'm sure, that will kind of make their way in and then start their own series, which is supposed to happen. So.
And I love the fact that again you're getting to see a different side of the same story. Right. Your perspective shifts, which is really cool. Yeah. And it's like that again. I'm not going to try to over spiritualize the Mandalorian. Yeah. But it's helpful for us a lot of ways that when you're able in your Christian life to get a different perspective, that it changes the way you look at something. And so it's like that way with the Mandalorian, that you're seeing this different perspective, and you go, oh, okay, that's different. Like I didn't think that way. And I love the fact that you do have, on the one hand, it's very familiar because it's a setting that you're familiar with, that we're familiar with as Star Wars fans. But at the same time, it's a completely different story. Right. Which is really cool. And so I love the fact of getting to find out what happens with these characters in this next season. I love the fact that it in the last episode, I'll put out a spoiler warning here for you.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler warning, yeah. But in the last episode of the first season, there is an item that the bad guy has.
Oh, dude, yeah.
That draws, like, it directly connects Star Wars Rebels. So we've come full circle. Yes. Now. It directly connects Star Wars Rebels with The Mandalorian. Yes. And there's this sword that the bad guy has that only the Mandalorians are supposed to have. Like, the leader of the Mandalorians has this sword throughout all of Star Wars history. And somehow this guy has it. And we don't know how he has it or when he got it or what. But all of a sudden, it was one of those, like, for me, like during the last episode, and it is literally like the last moment of the episode where you go, what? Like, why does he have that?
Yeah.
Where did
and
that
it just
come
ends,
from?
and you have to wait until Friday now.
Yeah, now.
To figure it out.
We've been waiting a year to figure out what happens. But it was one of those, like, a great cliffhanger moment.
Oh, it was so good.
Of like, what? Why does he have that? Why does he have that kind of thing?
Shouldn't. Who is that? Why does he have that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's our top 5. Hopefully, we've not shattered your perception of us as individuals. But we're now
just nerds.
Yeah, you know now how much of Disney and specifically Star Wars nerds that we are. Yeah. But we'd love to hear from you. What are some shows that you like on Disney Plus, or what are some other shows that you like? If you had to pick a top 5 TV shows that you liked, what would you choose and why? And we'd love to hear it. You can email us at thepath@lafayettefirst.life. You can let us know there, or you can comment on these podcasts or on the YouTube video that comes out every Thursday. But we had fun doing this. I hope you had fun listening. We'll have another top 5 thing later on in the season.
And if you can guess what it is, we'll give you a gift card.
That's right. Yeah. Congratulations, by the way, to Lisa Heyer for winning yours. We'll get that with you. But yeah, so we'll have another top 5 later on in the season. But until next time, I am Jason.
I'm Derrick.
And we will see you next time as we continue down the path.